Photo of the Month, a street photography series by Bryan. The story behind the photo.
In this month's episode of Photo of the Month, I'm going to talk about what it takes to make a timeless photograph. Now, if someone were to ask me what a timeless photo looks like, I think for some reason I would automatically go to like a historical moment. And there's a photo, a very famous photo actually by Jeff Widener. It's called The Tank Man. And it's a photo that was taken back in 1989 in the Tiananmen Square protests. Now, to me, that's an iconic example of a timeless photo. But I feel like historical significance is only one of the aspects it takes to make a timeless photo. Like if we think about another example, maybe the Muhammad Ali photo where he's standing over Sonny Liston in the boxing ring. That's an incredible photo, and obviously it's a historic moment, but this photo is more than just that. It evokes an emotion. And the way Ali's standing over his opponent, it's super powerful, it represents victory, and really as a viewer, there's no way that we can't help but feel something from that image. That's why I think photos that make an emotional impact have the ability to become timeless. Now, shooting someone famous can definitely help when it comes to creating a timeless image, especially if the person is captured in a special moment. Now, if I'm thinking back, there's a classic photo of Marilyn Monroe. I don't know if you remember this one, but it's one where she's in a white dress and the dress is blowing everywhere. I think it was captured back in like 1954. The photographer was Sam Shaw. And to be honest, that photo has stood the test of time. It's not only relevant back then, but it's become an iconic image that's kind of ingrained in pop culture all the way up until today. Now, obviously, aesthetics play a major role in creating a timeless image. Whether it's in black and white or color, there still needs to be a compelling composition. And I think lighting and subject matter plays a huge part of that, and it needs to have something that draws the viewer's attention. Now, a great example of that is the lunch atop a skyscraper photo. These fearless construction workers are just chilling, they're eating their lunch high above the city on this steel beam. They're not wearing any protective gear or harnesses, and they're treating it like it's no big deal. Even though that skyscraper image is striking, the experience is not necessarily something that we can all relate to. I feel like some of the strongest photos that we call timeless capture human experiences, emotions, themes, things that, people from different cultures and generations can relate to. So there's an example that comes to mind, I think it's called The Migrant Mother. It's a photo by Dorothea Lange, and it captures the hardships of the Great Depression, but it also speaks to the larger human experience of struggle, I think resilience, and obviously family. As a street photographer, I would love to create a timeless work, and I think it's totally possible. Now, if you think about it, we are documenting the nuances of everyday life. We're out there telling the stories of our time, and our images have the ability to evoke emotion. And once in a while, we might even get lucky enough to capture an iconic person or moment that transcends time. Now, I think Vivian Meyer's work is a great example of how street photography can be considered timeless. Okay, so now that we've explored what it takes to make a timeless photo, I want to share my photo of the month to see if it could ever be considered a timeless photo. Now, before we get into it, I want to actually take you out of the studio and head out to the location where I took that image, and I'll give you a little bit more context as we go. So let's check it out. Okay, so now I'm in Trinity Bellwoods Park. I'm here in Toronto, and this is actually the location that I took this photo. Now, to give context, back in the summer of 2020 and 2021, during the height of the pandemic, thousands of people were coming to this park. Even though they weren't supposed to, it was just a way for people to get out of their house and have a good time. Now, the officials of the City of Toronto ended up seeing this as a blatant disregard for public health and safety, so they decided to do this really weird thing, and they painted social distancing circles as a way to encourage safe physical distancing while using the park. Now, this was a super weird time in the city and definitely all over the world, and I had never seen anything like this before. If we take another look at my photo, let's just see if it has any of the characteristics of what it takes to be considered a timeless photo. Now, there's obviously some historical significance to this photo, and its importance could definitely grow over time. but for now it serves as a visual reminder of a difficult and unprecedented time in our lives. And because COVID affected so many people around the world, I feel like this photo has some level of universal appeal. Even if these circles weren't painted in parks around the world, I think the idea of physical distancing is something that everyone can relate to. Now, one question to ask would be, does this photo evoke an emotion? Now, that may be a personal question and the answer is allowed to be different, but I think it definitely has the ability to make someone feel something. Obviously, this isn't necessarily an iconic moment or a photo of a celebrity, but as I said earlier, documenting everyday life does have the ability to become timeless. Now, let's just pretend that someone in the future with no context about COVID might see this image. Now, does it have the aesthetic quality that draws the viewer in? Obviously, I might be a little bit biased here, but I think the image has a strong composition. I also think there's a story being told, and I think the subject matter works really well. But I'd be curious to know what you think, so feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. Does this photograph qualify as a timeless photo? All right, that wraps up another episode of Photo of the Month, and as always, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this, and I'm looking forward to sharing next month's video real soon.